Just like how La La Land embodies LA and When Harry Met Sally embodies New York, Finding Emily is fully consumed by its Manchester setting. And if there's one thing that you need to know about me, it's that I love Manchester. And so, when I saw a bushy-eyebrow Liam Gallagher lookalike in the trailer for a rom-com set in God's greatest creation, I knew that I had to experience Finding Emily, a film that captures the Mancunian vibe and culture so vividly that it's hard to escape it, which does make sense as Manchester is all about being in your face. But enough about Manchester. What is Finding Emily actually about? Well, it's a story about a young lad called Owen, played by Spike Fern, who succumbs to the passions of love as he meets the girl of his dreams, Emily, on a night out. But when he wakes up to find that she's given him the wrong phone number, he goes on a desperate hunt to find her, a hunt that attracts the attention of a struggling psychology student, also named Emily, who needs the perfect case study for her dissertation on the insanity of love, a case study like Owen. And so they team up to find this mysterious girl and to put to bed the question, how far would you go for love? And you know what, that premise alone got me very excited for this film, as Finding Emily really calls back to the simpler times of rom-coms, where we had imperfect characters fumbling around making fools of themselves as they try to navigate the complexities of love in a life that just doesn't make any sense. And because the rom-com is a genre that tends to come hand in hand with the coming of age, it's nice to see that we are finally getting a film that has stepped away from the out-of-touch romantic hookup tales of recent years for a simpler, more grounded story that finally represents young people, especially at uni, which as a student in Manchester made Finding Emily a proper surreal experience, which in its little moments like hearing the Manchester trams or feeling the anxiety of handing in an assignment made me feel right back at home. And so because we've had plenty of high school stories like The Breakfast Club, Mean Girls and 10 Things I Hate About You, it really is a breath of fresh air to finally see a rom-com that so effortlessly captures the uni lifestyle, which is why I think this film doesn't just have the power to revive a dying genre, but also to rebrand itself into something that authentically portrays the highs, the lows and everything in between in young adult life nowadays. However, to do such a thing, I did feel like Finding Emily had to force itself to stick to the genre's tropes in a way that, from the offset, made the story feel quite predictable. But maybe that's the charm of the rom-com. It's not always supposed to be this ultra complex mystery film that keeps you guessing, but rather something that you can just cozy up to and laugh so hard at that it makes your belly ache. And honestly, mine was aching so badly, as the humour in this is so dry and so perfectly personalised with Owen's mumbling Manc accent and whiny attitude that you can't help but be in awe of his awkwardness and complete incompetence as he digs himself into a deeper and deeper hole. And as we get closer to the climax of the story, a lot of interesting events do unfold that emotionally tug at your heartstrings. But ironically, the one thing that didn't do that for me is, well, the search for Emily herself. As whilst I loved the main character's obsession with finding her, I never really felt like it was as high stakes as it could have been, but I think that's purely due to the lack of time we actually see Owen with her, because it's only in the first 5 to 8 minutes of the film when we actually see both of them connecting, and when they do, the connection feels way too conveniently positive and easygoing, as we get this rushed love at first sight scenario that, whilst can work, needs some character development beforehand or establishment beforehand, as I didn't really get a sense of what Owen is like as a person. And so understanding why he suddenly falls for Emily and why he desperately needs to find her again was sort of lost on me, as I never really felt any investment in their connection in the first place. And so, to be brutally honest, I didn't really care if he found her or not, which is why I think all that was needed was just 5 more minutes in the opening with Owen and Emily to convince me into wanting this relationship to work. But whatever doesn't work for that relationship completely works for Owen's connection to the other Emily, as we are invited into a bond that is not only realistically flawed, but also hilariously presented in the right way, which not only strengthens their bond, but also gives each character the right amount of agency that you care about both of them equally. And so out of everything, it's that equilibrium between the serious and the humorous that this rom-com does so well at balancing. which, let me tell you, is no easy task, as it's very easy to write corny dialogue and cheesy jokes, but to create something as emotionally poignant and relevant as Finding Emily is something that has been lost in recent years, but now that we've found it again, hopefully it will bring back an audience that is desperate for more, which is why I'm hoping, praying and wishing that this is the start of a new wave of British rom-coms, because I think in today's climate, we all need a bit of laughter, which is why I'm giving Finding Emily a 3.5, because whilst it is flawed in some areas, the film is still a great time that I would recommend to anyone, especially if you've not felt the madness of Manchester before. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please like it and subscribe to this channel so that you don't miss any of the exciting content that I'll be posting over the next few weeks. Plus, if you have any recommendations for new films that you would like me to review, don't hesitate to comment them below, as I always love a great recommendation. But until then, I'll see you in the next video.